Hi and welcome to the webinar today, how to promote your Xero practice online. I'd like to welcome my guest Blake Oliver today, who's the Head of Technology and Marketing at HPC. We'll get kicked off on the hour, just wait for a few more people to arrive, and then we'll get started promptly. Now we've actually got a poll today, which I'm going to launch in a second. And the question we're asking is, do you use landing pages to promote your firm? So if you could answer that, we'll be talking about landing pages in the first section of the webinar. So it'd be good to know if you use them, or even if you know what they are. And don't worry if you don't. There's certainly a lot of confusion around what landing pages are. So we'll be trying to clarify that for you during the webinar. Okay, we'll just wait another minute for a few more people to arrive, and then we'll get started. Okay, so for those of you just arriving, we're going to get started in just a few seconds. If you could answer the poll, we're asking, do you use landing pages to promote your firm? If you could let us know if you do, if you don't, or if you don't actually know what landing pages are, that'd be great. We'll be talking about that in the first section of the webinar. Okay, we're going to get started. So I'd like to welcome you to the webinar today, how to promote your Xero practice online. My name's Matt Wilkinson. I'm the CEO and founder of BizInc, which is a company that helps accountants create successful websites and online marketing. And we're also a Xero Modern Practice partner. So many of the firms that we work with are also Xero partners, from bronze through to platinum. And over the 3 years since BizInc launched, I've seen at firsthand what the best Xero firms do to promote themselves online. And I'm going to share that with you, what I've learned over those years. I'm going to share that with you today. And I'd also like to welcome Blake Oliver. Blake is the Head of Technology and Marketing at HPC. HPC is a Xero Platinum partner and one of the leading firms both in the States and globally. And they have clients across the US, as well as in the UK, Brazil, and even New Zealand, where I'm speaking to you from today. And prior to joining HPC, Blake co-founded Crowdsourced Accounting, which was an online bookkeeping firm that grew to serve hundreds of clients in just a few years. So his knowledge of how to promote a Xero firm is second to none. I'm really grateful that he's able to join us today and share some tips with you. So welcome, Blake.
Thanks for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Oh, great. Okay, well, without further ado, let's get kicked off with the webinar. So I'm gonna close that poll off, and so the results have come in there. Do you use landing pages to promote your firm? 23% of the people here today have said yes, but 45% said no, and 32% don't know what landing pages are. I'm not surprised by that because I guess it's not an exact definition. So we're gonna talk about them because they are a really important component in your online marketing mix. So we're going to have a look at the anatomy of a landing page and why you should have them on your as part of your kind of web presence. So why a landing page is important? Well, the first thing is that they can help you target the right audience. We all know about focusing on verticals, on niches or niches, and that's really important. That you have a laser focus in your marketing. So a landing page can really help with that. They can also help you attract more visitors, and I guess I'd qualify that by saying more of the right type of visitors. And I guess most importantly, they convert more of those visitors into clients. Um, and something
Hey,
that
Matt,
Blake's gonna, yeah.
one thing I just want to stop you there because it's showing the results to the poll, and I wasn't sure if you wanted to show a slide now.
Oh, yeah, okay. Hide results, there we go. I apologize for my GoToWebinar lack of skills. Normally we have somebody doing this for us, but yeah, so yeah, this is the slide I'm going to be showing. So thanks for that, Blake. So yeah, we're about targeting the right
Now,
audience.
don't worry about it. No, don't worry about it, Matt, because I just did my first go-to webinar where I was presenting, setting it up all on my own, and this was one of the issues I had is it's still showing the quick poll
Yeah.
question. It's not showing your slide, so we got
Okay.
to figure out
Okay.
how to get it off.
Share results.
There's the results.
We've
Now, how
got
do
the
we show the
results.
slides again is the question.
So if I say hide results, you would hope that.
It just goes back to the question, doesn't show the next
Okay.
slide. There's got to be a way to end the poll. If anyone
Yeah.
happens to know the answer to this, you're welcome to chat it to us.
Give me 2 seconds and we'll get back onto
Yeah, no
these.
problem. I'm happy to talk a little bit while you work on that about the landing
Yeah,
pages. So,
sure.
I
Go
mean,
ahead.
so it's when I started doing cloud source accounting and I started marketing the firm online, we were building that from scratch. We didn't know what we were doing, and so my partner and I at the time we just said, what is online marketing and what is popular and to do. And so we just started emulating other sites, even though they weren't accounting firms or bookkeeping firms. We were actually emulating a lot of techniques that, say, e-commerce companies are using, which is very, very different than what we tend to use in the accounting world. And in that world, using landing pages is really critical, which we'll get into. It's so much more effective when a customer hits a landing page on your site that's specifically tailored to them than if they just go to your home page, which may be very generic. Um, and there's a lot of cool ways that you can use landing pages to get more information about what's working in terms of advertising, that sort of thing. Um, so if
Do
only we
we?
could get to those slides, right?
Yeah, this is apologies for this. I don't. You would think that hide results would get rid of it.
What if you make yourself the presenter again or something like that?
Could be it, but no.
We'll figure it out. I promise. Bear with us. In the
Yeah, sorry
meantime,
about
we've
this.
had some more attendees join, which is a good thing. I'll tell you what. I'll kill some time while I work on that, and I'll just talk a little bit about cloud source accounting and HPC because
Yeah,
sometimes
that'd be
there's
good.
confusion. So this is Blake Oliver. I am the founder of Cloud Sourced Accounting, and now I work for HPC, which used to be called Harshman Phillips and Company. Cloud Sourced Accounting was an online bookkeeping firm that we started from scratch on the Xero ecosystem in early 2013, and really didn't know what we were doing. I had actually been working as a professional bookkeeper, putting myself through school. My goal was to get my CPA here in California, and then I got listed on Xero's website first as an individual, and was one of the first two bookkeepers listed, and the other one was in New York. So we had quite a bit of territory, and even though Xero was almost brand new in the U.S., only a few years old, in the U.S., we had lots of customers asking for help setting up Xero, and then doing bookkeeping ongoing. So we got a lot of clients that way very quickly, and so in 2 years we got several hundred clients. It was quite a rapid growth period, and then this summer is when we joined with HPC. We were acquired by Harshman Phillips and Company, and so now I'm doing technology and I'm doing marketing for HPC. And I thought you almost had it there for a minute, Matt.
Yeah, mate.
uh, so I think somebody actually has posted a solution. So
Wow.
let's see. I'm going to look this up for you. So basically, in the summer, Thank you, everyone, for helping to crowdsource this solution. This is really a collaborative approach. So this summer is when we merged, and now we're part of HPC. I'm doing technology and marketing. Uh, so it looks like other people are having the same issue, and the poll keeps showing on the screen. And unfortunately, that doesn't seem to have a solution. Wow. You should be able to hide to resume. Thank you, Donna. There should be a button to hide the poll so that you can
Yeah,
resume.
that's what I've been pressing all along, and that's what has
But it just
worked
seems
in the
to hide the
past, but
result.
it isn't bringing up the slides. Is what we're so the
Hey,
slides
tell
aren't.
you what, I have the slide deck. Why don't you make me the presenter and
Yeah,
I'll share the
sure.
slide deck.
Let's try
All right, and
that.
then we'll get going with you
The
guys.
slide
I'm
deck is
very
on
interested.
is actually showing, which is really strange. That
Okay.
that's not working. Okay, I'm gonna switch
Yeah,
over
try
to you,
making me the
but
presenter, and then I will present the slides, and we'll just move on with this. Okay, so I'm going to show my secondary screen. All right, so Matt, do you see my beautiful Yosemite background, or do you still see the?
yes, I've got you. Can see you in Yosemite as a rock climber. I recognize that.
Okay, great. Which I live so close to there, and I still never go.
Oh wow.
That's great. Um, okay, so now I'm going to pull up the slides. Downloading the slides and opening the slides. Well, thank you. Nobody has left so far, so we've got a very trusting audience here that really believes in us. That thinks that we can do
That's
this.
awesome.
So now I've just got to remember how to use PowerPoint. So let's see, here it is. And now I'm always using Google Slides these days. So do I do a slideshow? Is that what I do?
I think so.
Except I need to flip the screens. All right, now it's all messed up. Let's see here, exit that. Let's do this. Slideshow, play from start. Okay, and I'm going to show screen number 1 now. All right, how am I doing? Are we there?
Yeah, we can see your screen.
All right, thankfully we are there. All right, so the importance of landing pages. We did it.
Cool.
We did
Yeah,
it.
thanks, Blake. So yeah, we were looking to target the right audience. If you keep flicking through, we'll get attract more visitors, and convert more of those visitors into clients, and finally measure the success of your marketing.
All right.
So what we're going to discuss next on the next slide was what is a landing page, and with a third of you asking what that was. Look, all a landing page is a website page that's tightly focused on one topic. Um, so, that might be a Xero landing page. And the aim of that page is to make the user take action. We don't want them to come on there and read and spend ages finding out about you. We want them to do something. So that might be, get in touch with you. It might be buy something from you. It might be to download something. But the important thing is that we want them to take action. And actually, as an example of a landing page, well, you actually visited one when you visited when you signed up for this webinar. So if you go on to the next screen, and if you just click onto a couple of things there, Blake, if you just go forward, it will bring up a
You
couple
should
of
see so I'm looking at the webinar page where people registered. Is that what you're seeing right now?
yeah, so if you just click next, it will bring up a couple of arrows. So we've got, you can see on this page, there's a very clear title, the what you'll learn, very concise information, just bullet points. We don't want to overwhelm the person who's on the page, on the landing page with information. It's tempting with any marketing to try and include lots of what you might consider valuable things, but the purpose of a landing page isn't to give the full story. It's just to get someone to take one action, and it, so in some senses, the more information you put on there, the more likely you are to distract people. So just put the bare essentials, and then the final thing would be a very clear call to action. So secure your place, very, very clear. It's on the right hand side of the page, which is where your eye is naturally drawn to, and there's a very clear kind of button there.
And I would
Um,
add to this that you want to get rid of all your sidebars, any extraneous content on these pages. They should really be one purpose only.
yeah, because there's
Right.
another name for landing pages you sometimes hear is squeeze pages. So what you're trying to do
Yeah.
is squeeze the user to do one thing, and like Blake says, remove anything that's distracting them from doing that thing. There's a lot of kind of
Yep.
science behind that, but yeah, less is more. I was just going to ask you, Blake, before we moved on, what else do you think is important when it comes to landing pages?
Oh yeah, so I mean I agree with everything you said. The whole objective of a landing page, as we've seen in the previous slide, is to get the user to give you their contact information. At least it is for us, right? As accountants, we are not looking to make a sale right then. We just want to get their name and their email, perhaps a little bit more information if we feel like we can get people to fill out that form with, say, number of employees or the size of their business or their industry, but that's it. And then we can reach out and we can begin the sales process. So that's the key. And on these contact forms is if you can, just get the minimal amount. People are much more likely to fill out this form and click submit if it's just a name and an email.
Cool. Um, so one of the reasons when we're talking about Xero specifically that you might want to use a landing page is for the destination from your link on the Xero directory. Um, in most cases, I see firms, they link to their homepage, and often that is the wrong place to send people because someone searched you out on the Xero directory. They're clearly interested, obviously, in Xero, and so you don't want to confuse them with other information. It's a perfect example of where you should use a landing page, and you don't want them
And
trawling
Matt,
through your site.
I'm glad you picked this because it reminds me that we actually need to fix this because right now our listing points directly to our homepage.
Well, I
Um,
was going to ask you about that, and I
yeah,
think I was going to ask you why you chose to do that because I think you've got a very optimized homepage, and because you're 100% Xero firm, or at least I think you are,
yep.
I think Xero is kind of baked into your site. I guess so that's why I kind of qualified it and said in most cases. Now that might
No,
be
I would
something
say
you're going to
this is definitely a case of do as I say, not as I do.
do.
We rebuilt the entire website over the summer, and this is one of those things that we missed. But really, because somebody who clicks on this link here on the Xero page, they are basically interested in knowing more about Xero and how we can help them with it. So if we send them to our homepage, which just has descriptions of everything that we do, they're not going to know what to do next, and they're really really interested in talking to us. So if they click that link, we want to make it really easy for them to give us their email address or their phone number,
Yeah,
and make sure that it's targeted so that there's not this like mental disconnect between coming from Xero to HPC and not seeing Xero and not seeing information about that. Like if we show them tax stuff, that's gonna distract them, right? They may think, oh, this is not the best fit. They're really not Xero. So this is one of
absolutely.
those things that we did pretty well at CloudSource Accounting. I'm still applying all of that to HPC because our website had been pretty much stagnant for a number of years.
Do you have any other landing pages that you use on the HPC site at the moment?
So we're using one that comes up later in this deck for Zen Payroll, which is now
Mhm.
Gusto.
Yeah.
And we have a relationship with them where they have been sending us people interested in getting set up or getting accounting services along with their payroll. And so we created a specific landing page for that project, which will be a good example later in the deck.
Cool. Sounds good.
So
Uh,
shall I move on?
yeah, let's get to the next slide. So this
Okay.
is oh yeah, it would click on. So this is one of BizInc's clients. They're a platinum partner in Auckland called Wise Advice. And, they've got a dedicated landing page for Xero here. You can see there are clear calls to action. There's a learn more button. It's half obscured, but you can see a chat window down at the bottom. So it's making it super easy to send a message to the firm or to book an appointment. And underneath, there's some engaging Xero content, a video, and some text and images. And I know for a fact they get regular leads from this page with a pretty good conversion rate into clients. So moving on to the next slide. Another purpose of a landing page to me is that it can help you get more visitors, and that's through search engine optimization. And like every month globally, there's hundreds of thousands of people searching for Xero and related terms. So it's really important that you include your key phrases on your landing page. Hopefully you know what those key phrases are. Basically what are the terms that people are using to search for you. And Google really likes pages that are focused on one topic. So if you have a page called Xero Accountants, Google's going to look at that and think, okay, these guys are Xero accountants. I mean, it's not quite as simple as that, but the more focused you can make pages, that can be a good thing. So
And
include those.
they can be hyper focused. You can create as many of these as you want and really target them. So you could say we are the #1 Xero accountants for the home construction industry, right?
Yeah.
Like, or we're the #1 Xero accountants for small plastic surgery offices in
Yeah.
Beverly Hills. You can be hyper focused because you can create as many of these as you need.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
then if somebody searches for a Xero accountant Beverly Hills medical, then you'll come up.
Yeah, it's that kind of long tail thing, right? Is that it's better
Yep.
to appeal strongly to a small amount of people than appeal weakly to a large amount of people. And you'd be surprised what people are actually searching for. So that'd be kind of what I would call public landing pages, where they probably are. You can find them through search engines, and you can also navigate them often through your website. Blake, we talked about use of hidden landing pages. Can you tell us a bit more about what you mean by them?
Sure. So public landing pages, right? The goal is to get search engines to index them and present them at the top of search results. Hidden landing pages are the opposite. You do not allow Google or Bing or Yahoo to index those pages. And the reason, the question is, well, why would I want to do that? Because you can measure the direct traffic from different efforts that you are engaging in where you wouldn't want the organic search to come to that page because it sort of distorts your efforts. So a good example of that would be paid advertising. So if you have a Google AdWords campaign for accounting for medical in Beverly Hills, then you would want to direct the clicks from those ads to a hidden landing page. And that way you know that all of the visits going to that landing page are the results of your advertising efforts. And you can measure that in, say, Google Analytics or in your landing page software, which we can talk about the different options to make landing pages easily. You also might have social media campaigns, and you really just want to track what's coming from social media to those landing pages. And then, as we have done with, say, Zen Payroll, now Gusto, if you have referral partners, you can create a hidden landing page, and that way you can track. You give them the URL for that hidden landing page, and you know that all the people visiting are because they sent them. And you can really measure the strength of your referral partnerships.
Yeah, cool. So I wanted to just have a quick chat about the add-on ecosystem as well. I imagine most of you are, if you're working with Xero, you work with one or more add-on apps, and the successful firms that we see really make the most of those relationships. So Blake's going to show you that with Zen Payroll, who, now Gusto, shortly. But I think the first thing is that, having some add-ons on your site, it can add a bit of depth there, show that you work with different industries and verticals. And it's also a great way to demonstrate that you truly are a cloud accountant. Um, so, Blake, how have you worked with add-ons, to boost your website and your online marketing?
So the key is, only list an add-on if you really know how to support it. So if don't list Vend unless you've actually figured out how to integrate it with Xero and you've taken their certification course, right? And you would be comfortable doing that. Or the same with MindBody, or you don't want people calling you and saying, "I'm using MindBody, I want to use Xero, can you help me?" And then you can't really deliver on that. So take their certifications, and then importantly, get listed on their website. So just like Xero has a listing of accountants, Vend, and I don't know if MindBody has it, a lot of these add-ons that are more complex have listings of certified experts. So, we do Bill.com here in the States. We're an expert in Bill.com, so we get people interested in helping us set that up. Zen Payroll, obviously. Um, Others, that I can't even. There's a lot of them. I've gotten the
Receipt
certifications for a
Banker,
lot.
Receipt Banker on screen definitely have a directory as well. So,
Yep,
uh,
Receipt Bank has the directory, so you want to get listed in all those because it's free, the links back to your own website from highly ranked sites on the internet. So you're increasing your own search engine optimization on your website just by getting listed. Probably one of the most powerful things you can do for your own SEO.
and obviously the link should go back to a landing page like we discussed.
Right.
So, yeah, say if it's Receipt Bank, you should have a Receipt Bank landing page, obviously.
Yep. So here's that landing page that we were talking about with Zen Payroll and HPC that I created. And this is a section of it. There's actually a contact form to the right that you can't see on this. But it's pretty simple. We just have 3 points with some descriptions. We have an offer at the bottom, so there's 2 months free and 10% off. Um, and this is really targeted for somebody who is signing up with Zen Payroll but is interested in accounting as well.
Cool.
So now, other website tips for Xero Partners. Do you want to take this one, Matt?
Yeah, sure. If you just bring them up one at a time. So, I mean, the first thing we can look at is essentially a mobile friendly. Can't overstate that. Next point, um, look, you need awesome content. That's a given if you want to do anything online. Next point would be you need to show your personality on your site. Just give social
This one
proof.
I can't emphasize enough because there's so many accountant websites you go to here in the States, and there's no About Me section, or there's no About Us. You don't know who even works at the firm, if it's one person, if it's 25, if it's 100. It's just sort of like this strange faceless organization. And I don't know if this is later on in the slides, Matt, but I think the About Us page is probably the page you spend the most time on
I
on the
agree with
website.
that. And we see a lot of
Yeah.
traffic going to those pages, and certainly to the about page and the team profile page. So we've got your about page, your team page is going to pop up, which is it's not lacking in personality. So
And that goes along with the social proof, right?
yeah,
So you want to show that you have actual clients. There are other people who trust you, and therefore you should trust me to somebody who is not familiar with you.
yeah. And just quickly, we're going to run through value-based pricing packages, whether you need to show them or not. Showing Xero resources, because we're talking specifically about Xero. And the last one's just a small thing, is a chat function, but I think that's a kind of easy win where you can increase the conversions on your site.
I would just add for the chat function, if you do implement something like that, make sure that you actually have somebody who can respond to the chats, because there's nothing more frustrating for a client than sending a chat and nobody responds.
No, there's not. No, we'll come to that one because there are some ways around that. But yeah, the first thing I want to touch on was mobile-friendly websites. So from our research, over 20% of traffic to accounting websites is on mobile devices. It could be a little bit more than that, depending on whether you're in a really urban area or not. But it's
It's going up.
significant.
It's going up. Ours is up to 30 to 40%
Yeah, okay.
mobile.
Yeah, I mean, so we have a big spread. Probably those stats, I've mainly taken those over New Zealand and Australia. So you'd be taking in some rural practices, right through to some in cities. And yeah, we saw one firm was almost 50%, but
Wow.
they were very kind of modern cloud-based firm. But yeah, so let's say it's 20-25%. You cannot ignore those kind of numbers. And almost more importantly than that now, Google is saying that more searches are done on mobile devices like phones than on desktop. Um, and since April 2015, if your website isn't mobile friendly, Google will not feature it in their mobile search listing. So if you think about that for a minute, you could be losing out on hundreds and maybe thousands of visitors each month. So if you want to check if your website is mobile friendly, this is the page to go to. If you just click once more, Blake, it'll
Hmm.
bring up the link that you need to go to. Um, Visit that link, and check if your site is mobile friendly. It takes a couple of seconds to do the test, um, because if it's not, you won't be getting any mobile search results from Google. So if you do have a problem with it, drop me a line. Contact details at the bottom of the screen, and we can point you in the right direction to start getting that sorted. Um, all right. Look at BizInc. We've been preaching for several years now about the importance of creating really great content. It's completely central to what you do online. Blake, I know you put a lot of effort into content at HPC. Can you give me your thoughts on how CPAs should be using content?
Sure thing. So I I'm torn in a lot of directions because we're a firm of 25, so we're not super big. Um, we're not super small. And my job is two things, both technology and the marketing. So it's really hard for me to make a regular schedule to say do blog posts. Everyday blog posts not happening, right? I want to get to that point. It's the same struggle that everyone is going through, I think. Um, and so the key is, if you can't, have a dedicated person to do this stuff, then you really just need to focus on a few pieces of high quality content. And what is high quality? The best content you can write are client profiles, right? Case studies. So as you can see on the page, this Maui Magazine's case study that we did, I think it's over 2,000 words. It's a really in-depth story about how they use Xero plus three different add-ons, I believe, to really optimize their accounts receivable and actually save money. Not just improve efficiency, they saved money. Um, so if you can show that to clients on your site, you can really demonstrate your expertise. And it does two things, right? It does the social proof, meaning that it shows that you have clients that you have served successfully, and two, it demonstrates your expertise. So I would focus on doing those. They take a lot of time. You got to get clients to agree to do it. You've got to do your research and your homework, but it's probably the best investment you can make.
Just on that, Blake, I think when you make that investment as well, one thing that we always encourage clients to do, and we do this a lot ourselves, is repurpose content.
Yep.
So that one deep dive piece of content, 2,000 words, I'm sure you've probably been able to split out some testimonials out of that. Maybe you've obviously written a blog post about it. Um, we've done things where we've turned a webinar into an infographic. So actually, that one big effort that you make can actually spin out into lots of different pieces of content, right?
Exactly. So, with this article features three different add-ons, well, we could break it up into, three more posts that are about the add-on specifically, right? Or about Xero specifically and how it worked for this client.
Hmm.
So definitely important to reuse and repurpose as much as possible. But always remember that if you are putting out content that seems manufactured or artificial, people sense that. So you really shouldn't, don't make it like a machine, right? Don't just hire somebody on like a freelancer site and without, and have them write something without and post it without editing it and making sure it's good.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, yeah, so we talked about the team page briefly. If we flick onto the next slide, we will see the HPC team page or a section of it. So there's Blake.
So
Nice
we,
picture of
yeah.
him.
No, thank you. So we have kind of a unique approach. We do these caricatures of our key staff, and for us, it works. Clients like it. It's cute. If it shows our hobbies, what we do outside of accounting, which I think is really important. It's to humanize the firm, right? We're all people. We have hobbies, but sometimes our clients can forget that, given what we do. Um, so if you hover over each picture, you'll see there's a bio that pops up, and I find this is one of the most visited pages on our site.
Yes, that's really good. And it's not like you would necessarily have to use caricatures. It's what fits with the personality of your firm, right?
Exactly.
Um,
Yeah, and please don't do it because we're the only ones doing it, I think so. I'm
we,
just
we,
kidding. I have no idea.
We've got a client in New Zealand, and they have a lot of rural clients, and they got some
Yeah,
really good photographs of them, meeting a farmer next to a cow or something like that. But it's a really
that's
professionally
great.
taken photo, and it just looks cool. It's obviously their market. It really fits. So
Yep,
I think that's the important thing, is to reflect your personality.
yep, exactly. I like that a lot.
Um, so the next thing is social proof. This is a firm we work with in California. So you can see they've just got some basic testimonials. Um, Blake also talked about case studies. So I think if you flick to the next slide, we've got
Oh,
an
yeah, sure.
example of a landing page that you guys have put together. It's a section of it. So actually, again,
Right. So that blog post, right? You can actually take that blog post and package it into a nice PDF and call it a case study and have a landing page dedicated to it, right? And that's called gated content. So you're basically saying you have to give me your first name, last name, and email address, and then you can download this document I prepared. And you can do that with a lot of stuff.
yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
yeah. So anything that's like high value, that you've put together, gate that content, and then you can take pieces of it and make it blog posts, for instance.
Yeah, and we'll come on to why it's so important to try and grab contact details of people with email marketing later, because like Blake alluded to earlier in the webinar, most people aren't going to visit your site and then just call you up and go, hey, we're going to sign you up as our accountants. Probably the best you can hope for most times is to try and get their email address. So having things like gated content is really valuable.
Yep.
Um, so pricing plans, yeah, this is some pricing plans on a firm we work with in Auckland, and I guess it's something that Xero's really pushed in the past. And I don't think they're essential to have on a website. Maybe like 2, 3 years ago, every kind of, I guess, cool cloud accountant had to have packages on there. Um, I've seen a bit of a trend away from that, where firms are still offering fixed or value-based pricing, but they don't publish it because they might vary it from client to client, because even though they might offer the same services, there might be client A who's a dream to work with and client B who's a bit of a pain. So they might vary that package, which is fair enough in my opinion. But I do think they're a great way to promote services online in a clear way that makes it really easy for clients to sign up. So, what are your thoughts, Blake?
I'm sorry, you cut out there on my end. What was the question?
Oh, sorry, I was just saying, what do you think of pricing packages?
Oh,
On a
yeah, I
website.
think it's yeah, definitely, absolutely essential. Now, you don't necessarily have to list the prices. We did this at one point. We listed our prices and then we took them down. I think a lot of it depends on your market that you're in. So, for instance, in Australia, New Zealand, people are more accustomed to it. It's more common. You might need to do it. That might work for you. Here, we price separately for tax and accounting, and we tend to work with larger clients as part of HPC. So it tends to be custom anyway. So if you give prices to people on your website, then you're kind of locking in an expectation that may not be accurate. So depends on your clientele, I would say.
Yeah, that's what I find, and maybe it just cut out slightly before then, but that it's good to show the packages as almost like a conversion tool. But yeah,
Yep.
the pricing is not necessarily um, needed to be there. Yeah, because that can obviously
But
vary.
yeah, but it could be great. Like I would say, if you don't have pricing on your website, build up these packages and list these. Don't list the pricing. Once you've got it nailed down where you're comfortable adding a price to it, if you find that people really, like 90% of your clients really do fall into one of the three, then go ahead and do it, right? But if you do it right away, you might end up getting disappointed. So
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, well, I
next
think
slide.
that would be the issue that I've seen is that firms have seen it on other websites,
Yep.
copied it because it seems like the thing that the cool firms are doing, but they haven't necessarily thought how the workflow drops out the back of it, and have probably got some
Exactly.
nasty surprises in terms of
Well, and especially if like you're here in the States and you've been doing hourly, and just making that leap from straight hourly all the way to fixed prices on your website is going to be really hard. I would say make a transition, right? Go from hourly to fixed fee. Don't list the prices, then list the prices
yeah, right.
if they work. Yeah.
All right. Yeah, jumping back to
Next slide.
Xero, a quick thing that I would say is have some Xero resources on your website. This is a firm we work with in Denver, and um, we've helped them get some videos from Xero TV. So, Xero provide a lot of really good resources that you can use. So make the most of those. Um, you can embed these videos, and you can see some of the titles. Help um, clients and prospects can then come and find out about Xero, train themselves. It
Yep.
establishes your credibility as a Xero partner. So, go onto the Xero site and look at what resources are available to you through their partner program, and try and make the most of those as well.
One thing that you could do that I've seen is create a resources page by industry. So if
Hmm.
you serve a specific industry, create a list of links to, helpful resources. That's a great way to get started creating customized content without having to do it all yourself.
Hmm.
You're just sort of aggregating content from around the web.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, add-on partners here as well. They have resources too, so check those out because that could work really well with industries and verticals. Um, Final thing I wanted to talk about with websites was this chat function. This is a website interactive accounting, quite a well-known Xero partner in Australia. And I was chatting to Guy, who's the founder of Interactive Accounting, and he said this chat function's been really successful for them, and I've seen it really work well for a number of firms. It's a high converting tool. You're not going to get hundreds of people talking to you, but what we found through Biz Inc. as well, which is obviously a slightly different market, the people who do come through chat are fairly engaged, and will often come through and be clients. So it's worth having there, but definitely with the proviso that Blake mentioned, if you're going to do it, make sure that you actually man the chat, um, or use a chat service which you can switch off when you're not there, so it doesn't
That's a great idea.
it doesn't look like you're not at home kind of thing.
Yep. All right, social media.
Yeah. We were going to run a poll at this point, but I'm not going to touch those given what happened earlier. So um,
Yep.
let's just jump into this straight away. So look, Blake, I think it's pretty fair to say you're a bit of a specialist on social media. So first question I was going to ask, because I get asked it a lot: does social media work for accounting firms?
Well, it depends what you mean by does it work, right? So, um, if you mean does it directly get you clients, I would say that for most firms the answer is going to be no or very few. However, that doesn't mean that it isn't important to have a presence, right? And there's different levels of activity that you can have on social media. And so I would say that for most firms, the key is going to be to have a presence, have a sophisticated, intelligent presence that represents your firm and your values and who you are, cleanly and in conjunction with your website. So you're presenting the same appearance across all of your marketing channels. Um, and it's really important too that the individuals in your firm also have professional social media profiles, right, on all the different sites. So the question is often that I get asked when I'm talking to other accountants is what social sites should you be on? And there are three that have been around for a while. You've got your Facebook, you've got Twitter, and you've got LinkedIn. For most accountants, the most important one is going to actually be LinkedIn, not Facebook or Twitter, because LinkedIn is where you're going to find the most qualified buyers, right? The most engaged business owners looking to find an accountant to vet a firm. So it's really, really important that your firm has a company page on LinkedIn, that everyone in your firm has a up-to-date profile that's professional, and that you're presenting a cohesive front. And it's really easy to do that with LinkedIn because it's specifically for business. You don't have to force somebody to take, say, a personal profile that they like to use and make it all businessy, right? Everyone working at your firm should have a professional profile and link to your company page.
I think we've got your company page. If you just flick onto the next slide, Blake, then
Oh, sure, sure.
yeah, this is
Let's.
just a quick overview, and if we go on to the
I'll
next
come
one,
back to this.
yeah,
So
no, you
here's
don't have,
here's our company page.
there we go.
Um, yeah, and so it uses the company page has a profile picture that has the same slogan that we've got on our website. There's a similar look and feel. Um, the important thing is to have consistent um, profile information on all your pages, so make sure that it's updated on, say, on Twitter and Facebook and LinkedIn in particular, and that all of your personnel are listed on the that are linking to your company and saying I am currently employed here.
Yeah, cool.
Um, so back to the question. So we talked about the profile. You definitely want to have a link to your website on your profile. And if you're using landing pages, have a link to a landing page specific for social media if you want to track that. Although generally with say a profile and LinkedIn, they are really looking to go to your homepage, so may or may not be appropriate. Um, who should you follow? So this is more of like a Twitter thing, I suppose, but you want to follow other people in your industry, other accounting firms is fine. I don't think you have to worry about competition in that regard. It's a great networking tool, a tool for building referral relationships, both on LinkedIn and on Twitter. Um, and I would say that with Facebook, really, that's, in my experience, not a great tool for accountants who serve businesses, because Facebook is more of a let's hang out with your friends kind of social media site. Um, I haven't had great results, and the issue with Facebook now is that you kind of have to pay to play. So if you want to get your posts out in front of a lot of people, you are going to have to pay for advertising. Whereas with LinkedIn, it's really much easier to get your posts out to a wide number of people without paying, um, and people who are really a good fit. So Facebook is this comes to the last point. What should you post when and how often? So on Facebook, let's start from the least to the most, right? So Facebook is one of those places where you just need to have a presence. Maybe post once a week, once a month even, and show the personal side of your company, right? Because Facebook is where people go to hang out with their friends and their family. On LinkedIn, it's good to post once a day if you can do it. If you can't, do it once a week. Post professional articles, something relevant to your industry. Show your expertise. And if you have content, you can publish that content directly on LinkedIn on Pulse, which is a great way to repurpose content. We talked about repurposing it. It won't hurt your SEO on your website if you repurpose it by posting on Pulse under your account and then linking back to your website. And the benefit of that is it gets to a wider range of people that would never have gone or found it on Google search.
Yeah,
And it shows up at the top of your profile, which is great.
we've had a lot of traffic to posts through Pulse.
Yep.
They really do get read quite a lot. And as you say, you don't need to write something original there. Just we've often used things that we've posted on our blog, from a couple of
Yep.
years ago, and it's about reaching a different audience with that content.
Exactly. And the same concept goes to a site like Medium, right? Which is a blogging platform. And you can repurpose content on there as long as you link back to the original post on your website. You won't hurt your SEO and it exposes your post to a larger audience. So we talked about Facebook, post once a month, LinkedIn post at least once a week. Twitter is an interesting beast because the lifespan of a tweet is like 20 minutes, maybe 15 to 20 minutes. So really, to have a presence there, you got to post multiple times per day, which is what I do. I post on HPC's account 5 times a day, and I do that using software that spaces out the posts. And so if I read something that I think might be relevant to startups or entrepreneurs or international firms, I will queue that up, and it goes out on our feed, spaced out over the day. So somebody who follows us on Twitter will, odds are, over time they will see a post from us, and it'll keep us in their mind. It'll show our relevance, and then at some point maybe they will convert into a lead or a customer. But if you can't do 5 times a day, seriously, don't worry. It's really just you don't want your most frequent post, you don't want your last Twitter post to be 3 months ago, right? You want to be at least doing it like on a weekly basis. All right, I think I've talked plenty.
Yeah, cool. We've got a few of your social sites up here. So that's your HPC's Twitter feed. You can see the profile on the left is very well formatted and got all the correct links.
We're using hashtags to try and get people who are searching for accounting, are more like, if you hashtag something, it prioritizes it in the search. So we hashtag accounting, bookkeeping, and tax, and we mention Xero because that's such an important part of our business. So we use the @ symbol to link back to Xero's profile. And we link to our own website, which is important. It's kind of amazing. I see many, many people on Twitter who don't have a profile filled out and don't have a link to their website. And people, when they follow you, the thing they see is your profile. And if you don't have one or a profile picture, they're just going to assume you're like a spam account and they're not going to follow you. So make sure to fill that out. So we did pretty well. I mean, we took this account from something like 100 followers to 1,745. And I did that just basically in dead time, by going around Twitter and finding people who are relevant in the industry and following them and being active, right? So it takes time to build that kind of following. How many followers should you have is a good question. A lot of the time, I would say that you really want to have a few hundred, so that you don't seem, that you don't seem like you're not really involved. So, get to that number. If you only have like a dozen followers, it's going to look like you're not active. And if there is a client that is, looking at you on social media, that doesn't help show you're tech savvy.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's always the time. I mean, there's tons we could talk about Twitter forever, but we should probably keep going, right?
Yeah, we've got Facebook, but I would agree with you. I think this is the next slide. I would agree with you that I don't think you have to be on Facebook. You guys are, and you're very active on social. But for me, it would be the least most important site to be on. I agree with you. LinkedIn's an essential. Twitter's a maybe, and Facebook, I'd be like, would you be better spending your time doing something else that's unrelated to social media? And I'd argue in most cases that you would be.
Yeah, definitely. So this is my personal Twitter profile. You can see that I link back to HPC CPA, also to CloudSource Accounting. I have my own personal website, which I link to, that then also has a link to HPC to help us get conversions that way. I interact, I stay in touch with other people in the industry, and if you're just, Twitter is one of those things where it's like, some people think it's, well, the first instinct you have is just to like put out stuff, like post. really there's not much value in that. The value is in interacting with people. So, for instance, I reshared this post by Danitha Doe, who is very active in cloud accounting and marketing and accounting. And so she saw that, she liked that, she retweeted my tweet. So it's all about this. Don't just be pushing content out into space. Be sharing other people's content and commenting on it and interacting with it. And what's great is that you can do this in your downtime, right? There's no excuse not to do it because you can download the Twitter app on your phone. You can do this when you're in line at the grocery store, right? You can go through and see what other people have posted and retweet it and comment. And it's a great networking tool. When I started my firm, I was really isolated. I mean, I was just a bookkeeper, right? And here I am starting a cloud accounting firm, a cloud bookkeeping firm. I didn't know anyone, and I met a lot of people online doing stuff in the cloud accounting space just through Twitter and LinkedIn. So it's been great. I
Post
think
about
that's how I
Jennifer
met you, Matt.
Lawrence. Post about Jennifer Lawrence.
Yeah,
Are they good? Yeah.
yeah. Well, and Danitha, this is actually a great example of her content. She puts out really cool content that's actually interesting.
Yeah. Yeah.
I tell you how much content I see out there that's like, read about the new IRS regulations on Section 45B. Like nobody in their right mind is going to read that, not even accountants,
That's
right?
right. That's what
So,
we always say. But business owners don't want to read it, and accountants don't even want to read it. So why are people
right, like
posting?
if you are not even interested in your own content, then there's an issue.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
you know, yeah.
Um,
So because, but it's an opportunity because so much out there is really boring and dry. If you make it a little bit interesting, you can still have the same content. The quality can still be there. The information can still be there, but you can present it in a way that's interesting by mentioning, say, Jennifer Lawrence.
yeah, absolutely.
So, okay, I will move
If we jump on a
on.
couple of slides, yeah,
Yeah.
we've gone through that, I think. I was just going to talk about email marketing because I guess social media, there's all these that kind of new, well, they're not that new, but newer forms of online marketing. Email marketing is sort of seen as almost old-fashioned. Now, it's actually, when done properly, and I give that proviso, it will give you a better return on investment than pretty much any other form of online marketing in general. Um, and it will outperform search engine marketing by almost twice. And if we're talking about social media, which is not necessarily a direct sales tool, but 3 or 4 times the return on investment. um, and like, I think fair amount of firms will be sending out an email newsletter. There's far more to email marketing than that. We've not got a lot of time, so I'm just going to skim over this, but
We could do a whole webinar just on email marketing.
because yeah, don't get me started. I love email marketing, so I could talk for hours. But,
If I could just say one thing about email marketing is the whole concept of like the email newsletter that looks like a physical newsletter that you used to receive, where it's like a one sheet and it has articles going down the left side, like with links, and then it has like a sidebar and it has your logo at the top. Nobody reads that. Um, at least I don't, because you have to take the effort to open up that email and you have to then find, oh, are any of these articles relevant to me? And you have to skim past all this filler content, right? That's just there to make it look prettier. In the best emails are the ones that just get right to the point. They have one topic and the subject line is exactly what is in the content in that email. So, like email your clients the latest blog post that you wrote, and that's all that you email them in that one email, right? It's better to have lots of smaller emails than one big one that you do on a monthly basis because nobody reads that. That's just my 2 cents.
yeah, no, you're completely right, and it comes back to the almost the same theory of landing pages. It's about delivering what somebody's interested in and nothing more.
Yeah.
You don't want to pack a newsletter full of content, and the bit that they're interested in is right at the end, so they don't read
Yep.
that. And some of those newsletters you're referring to, Blake, I've seen them, and often they are written by third parties. They're full of that kind of IRS compliance type content. and they're often a PDF, which is terrible. You just as your website needs to be mobile friendly, your email doubly so needs to be mobile friendly because everybody reads their email on their phone.
Yeah, if they have to pinch and zoom to read it, they're not gonna read it.
Absolutely not.
So,
And yeah, I just delete it. If I see a PDF, it's getting deleted
yep.
before it even gets before I even open it. So make it mobile friendly. As Blake says, email on specific topics. It doesn't just have to be a newsletter. You can do blog updates, and you can even automate that very easily. Um, and
If that's what I've so on my personal website, if you go to blakeoliver.com, there's a pop-up. If you've never been to my site before, it pops up and it says join my email list, right? And if you sign up for that, then every time I do a blog post, you automatically get an email with just that blog post, right? And the topic is the title of the blog post, and there's a little summary. Perfect example of the kind of email marketing, right, that people ought to be doing for getting their content out to people directly.
and
Um,
if you push for time, right, which I
yeah,
can say every accounting firm is, um, that's where you can focus on your blog, but you're covering off email marketing at the same time
exactly.
with a
So
little
you can
setup at the start.
yeah. So the idea is like don't make this a huge project where I have to do a monthly newsletter and now it's like a big task. As you have topics that you would want to communicate to clients, send out a short email. Make it a blog post and have it automatically emailed to people. If you specialize in tax, then all that tax stuff, make separate blog posts for every deadline that's coming up. Say, hey, reminder everyone, this is happening, and either make it a blog post and email it out to your people that way through the automation tool, or just push it out directly as a client email. Say, and the subject should be exactly what you're going to talk about. Like, don't forget the 10:15 deadline's coming up. We need your information by this date. Um,
And
that sort of thing.
and like you mentioned, gathering a list, building a list, which you're doing on your own site.
Yep.
That actually in all of email marketing, the list is the most important thing. So I talked about this to somebody yesterday. Is that it's better to have a brilliant list and send an average email than have an average list and send a brilliant email.
Yep.
Your list is super important, and trying to build a list is also super important. We've talked about this a few times. Most visitors to your site aren't just suddenly going to call and become clients. So getting their email addresses is vital because they might not be ready to switch accountants at that point. Obviously there's a period when people tend to switch accountants in a year, or it might be a couple of years out that they're thinking about that. If you have their
Yep.
email address, you've got a method to keep contacting them with. And as long as you're not spamming them, as long as you're sending them valuable content, which could be delivered through your blog, as we just mentioned, every now and then you're well within your rights to send a well-written promotional email, and your conversion rate from something like that is going to be much, much higher than your website.
Yep. But definitely make sure that the ratio of promotional to informative is very low. So you want lots of, informative content, and then just occasionally you can send a promotional email that says it's, telling people, hey, we're having a special, sign up, all this stuff. But other than that, send informative, useful information to people.
I think you're right, and I think the the thing is selling without selling, right? You're
Exactly.
building credibility, you're building trust. The only thing I'd say with that is that um I've seen that happen where I was subscribed to an email from HubSpot, who you'll have heard of, Blake. I think you guys use them, but
Yep.
they're a they're a marketing company who put out some incredible content. And there was one day when I wanted to find out more about HubSpot, and I kind of realized they'd sent me so much good content, but they'd never tried to sell me. And I actually wanted them to, give me some more pricing information or be a
That's
bit more
perfect.
direct. So I
That's amazing.
in a way you can, if your sales message is, and this is where the list is really important, if you understand that exactly what the audience that you're marketing to once, then it's okay to make a direct sales approach and be very direct, be very kind of simple in it, so you're not being pushy, you're just saying, hey, this is what we do. Don't forget to put that into the mix is all I'm saying. Definitely don't major on that, but don't forget to do
Yep.
it, because I think sometimes you can you can forget that you're a business, you do want to make some money
Yep.
as well.
It's true. It's true. Um, so that's it for the slides. I see there's one question that came up just from
Yeah,
Jane.
cool.
Do you
So,
feel,
first of all, yeah, we're gonna ask a few questions, answer a few questions. So, I'd like to say thanks for coming. We're just gonna skip over the top marketing tools. We're gonna talk about that, but what I'll do is, because of my ineptitude using GoToMeeting, we missed some time. So I will send out an email where we list some of those tools and what they do. But I'd like to say thanks for coming. If you've got any questions, you can use the admin panel to ask myself and Blake. So we've got a couple coming in now. If you'd like to find out a bit more about HPC, you can see the link on screen, which is hpccpa.com for accountants. And if you'd like to find a bit more about BizInc, you can see our website there, BizInc Online. Actually, if you come along to an online demo this month, we're actually doing a competition where you can win a website, so that's worth having a look at. But so and I'll jump into the questions now. So I've got a question from Jane. If a website visitor enters their name and email on a landing page, is that an implicit subscription to an email list, or do they have to explicitly sign up? Interesting one. What are your thoughts on that, Blake?
so yeah, my feeling is that if they give us their name and their email, then they're on our list, and we'll start, sending them marketing emails. Now we don't spam people in that. We don't send them like lots and lots of emails, and we make it really easy for them to unsubscribe. So
Yeah.
I think if they've given you their name and email, it's okay to start sending them messages. Just be responsible and make it easy. Make sure there's a link. Whatever software you're using. If you're using something like Mailchimp, it's really easy then for people to unsubscribe, and I've never had a complaint.
Same. I agree. I don't think
Yeah,
people need to opt in. You will really lower your rates if you do that. And
yeah,
I think if you're being responsible, then it's not like it's not like you shouldn't be able to email somebody. Look, we're all out to be in business, and I think Mailchimp, Campaign Monitor, most of those well-known email programs won't let you send an email without an unsubscribe link in it. Um,
yep,
and you've also, you've got an audit trail then of all your past campaigns. So if, you did get canned spam people knocking on your door, you can say, look, these guys signed up to our site. I've sent them emails that are related to the topic that they signed up regarding. I've not, sent too many emails. That no one's going to have a problem with that. So that would be my take on it as well.
What what you shouldn't do is buy email lists. That's a waste of money and time.
Yeah, so that was the next. Nisha's asked the question. Do you only put together current clients and people sign up? Yeah, I would say never ever buy lists. I used to have an e-commerce business in the UK kind of like 10, 15 years ago. And we tried that, at the start of the business. And, I might as well have burned the money that we paid for it, because I've had more fun watching it than the response that we had from those lists. They're terrible.
One
So,
thing One
yeah.
thing you can do is if you have, you may have an extensive professional contact list and in your, inbox, in your email program. And if you do, and you can go through that and add people to the list that you feel comfortable with. But I would definitely not just bulk add everyone in the world. Add people that you know that might be interested. So
Yeah,
your existing customers, your existing contacts, that sort of thing.
I mean, like, if you're doing email marketing properly, like going on about how important lists are,
Yeah.
you could probably expect like, five, even maybe 10% conversion rate from a good list. Um, so, if we're talking about accounting firms, you don't need hundreds and hundreds of new clients. So you don't need a huge list if we're basing it off those percentages to
Yeah.
do well. You just need the right list.
exactly.
Uh,
Um,
Derek asks a question: are we going to do an email marketing webinar? Yes, should definitely
I
do
think we
that.
have to.
I will, I will do that, and I will get somebody who knows how to use polls and go to meeting while we do it as well. Um,
That's great.
okay, question from Bet is any suggestions for internet marketing in not so savvy geographical areas?
Uh,
Yeah, I mean that's interesting. I probably live in one of those areas, so that's quite an interesting question. What would you say, Blake?
well, pretty much everyone is using Google,
Yeah.
right? So if you got to ask yourself, like, what is the purpose of this internet marketing that I'm doing, this online marketing? Um, the number one purpose is to provide social proof, to basically be your business card, right, online. Um, and then in terms of, not tech savvy areas, you're not going to be getting a lot of people who are searching for Google and signing up with you in that way, right? It'll probably be that it's a referral, they heard about you, they go to your website to find out more. So that's what you should focus on, is building that site that really shows who you are and your expertise, and not worrying so much about coming up at the top in Google search, because if they search your name, you'll probably come up anyway. You want to make sure that you do, for sure, right? But but again, the focus is on people who already know who you are, that are researching you online. That's what I would say.
Um, I
And the
guess,
email list, right? So the email list would be the next thing to focus on.
and I suppose, if we're talking about marketing your zero practice, if somebody's not on internet marketing, if they're not kind of on the internet or kind of using email or Google, do you really want them as a client? Because they're not going to be a good zero client, I would suggest.
Yeah,
Um,
definitely depends on what kind of work you're doing for them. I mean, we're a virtual firm, so it's really important that our clients are comfortable doing Google Hangouts or Skype, and submitting documents to us online. But if you're a transition firm, that is using Xero but is still physically based in a location, not as important, right? So,
well,
um,
I don't see any more questions coming in. There's a question from Nietzsche about feelings about personal professional contacts outside the practice. I'm not quite sure.
I think she
Um,
means the email list.
oh
So,
yeah,
yeah, basically, if you would feel comfortable, this is my personal opinion, if you would feel comfortable sending an email to that person, just one-on-one, telling them like about your latest blog post, add them to your email list, right? They're probably not going to be offended, and if they want to unsubscribe, they can unsubscribe. It's really easy to do that. If you wouldn't feel comfortable doing that, then don't put them on your list.
yeah.
So think about email marketing. Email marketing is very personal. The reason that they open that email is because your name is on the sender, right? That's also important. Is don't make the sender name your company name. Make it from you and make it personal to them. The email marketing tools are just a way of simplifying that process, so you don't have to email 100 people 100 times.
And there are actually, I guess there's two types of email marketing tools. One is your kind of MailChimp campaign monitor, which I would call like bulk emailing tools. And then in the last few years, there have been tools which sit in your inbox and you can do some email marketing through there. So you've got things like Yesware, for example, and you can
Mm,
do mail mergers into things like Gmail and Outlook.
yep.
Um, and you can do some tracking with it within your inbox. They're a bit more involved, but that could be something else that you look at. Um,
Yep.
got a question from Rome, which is, what service does BizInc offer versus HPC for accountants? Well, Blake, do you want to tell Rome what you can offer to accountants?
Sure.
And I'll explain.
Pretty simple. I do one-on-one consulting with CPAs and accounting firms and bookkeepers to help them set up all of these systems, and learn how to do the fixed fee pricing, learn how to set up their marketing tools. That's actually a good one. Is if you're not as tech savvy but you want to develop a presence, we can actually build you, the set up the tools, and then you can just, get your accounts going, and then you can maintain them. I'm not sure, Matt, do you offer the social media setup stuff? Because I don't want to cross over with you. Um,
We do a little bit. I mean,
yeah.
our core business is websites and content really. We're
Yeah.
essentially a content company. You know, we provide content through websites and through email marketing. It's just
So
faster
so
through websites.
yeah. So basically, like, I am tech savvy, and I had the time and the ability to learn all this stuff. So I set up my own website marketing platform through HubSpot, which, is an awesome tool, but takes a lot of time and dedication to set up. It took months and months to get it working. Most accountants and firms are not going to be able to do that, so you need something like BizInc with Matt, so they can set up your website, optimize it for mobile, right, and provide you with content. So, because that's also the hardest thing, is building and creating the content, right, to add to this site. Um, so what I do then is, I share my knowledge in terms of helping to optimize, your different marketing stuff, but also more than just marketing, right? Also the tools to run your online practice, so Xero and the add-ons and how to sell that, and how to run internally your practice if you're going virtual and closing your doors. So basically, I just share what I learned in the 3 years of running cloud-sourced accounting, and then also now um, further modernizing HPC from a, the HPC went from being a a firm that operated an office in Atlanta, Georgia, to fully virtual in 5 years. So there's a lot of experience on our team in helping other firms do the same thing, and cut their costs and expand their customer base.
Cool. Thanks for that, Blake.
Yep.
So I think we're going to wrap up there. There's no more questions. I'd like to thank you all for coming along. We're going to send out a recording of the webinar, and I'll make a note that we'll list out those marketing tools that we didn't have time to get to. And I'd like to say thanks to Blake. Thanks for coming along and sharing your knowledge. That's been fantastic today. Um,
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Thanks, Blake. Okay. Right, well, we'll wrap up there. Hope you all have a great day. And thanks for coming along.